Welcome back to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I'm your host, Carter C. I can't believe this is episode 21. We are plowing through episodes every day. Every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, we drop a new episode. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are episodes on Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt, The Thrill of the Chase, his memoir. Been going through each clue. I'm a one line, one clue kind of guy in that poem. We'll be hitting up some themes, throughout the book as we get to the Christmas time in a couple of days once this drops. And we've got tons more videos. And I'm just really kind of feeling things out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Drop just regular house husband diaries, just videos, me chatting, me talking. If there's anything that you want to know about life as a house husband, maybe I've already got it in the works, or I'm open to talking about anything, so that we can have a great discussion, conversation through comments, guests. I've got a spot right here. I'm waiting to line up some guests for some good conversation. And I thought this episode I would talk about life with ADD, or undiagnosed ADD, if you will. So I've never understood the difference between ADD and ADHD, right? So like they say attention deficit disorder. So everybody had ADD in like the 90s. And then somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like, no, I have ADHD. And I never understood that, because it was like you weren't good enough if you just had ADD. So now you have ADHD, which like one-ups, the ADD kids. Because like if you have ADD, you're okay, but like you have ADHD, you're just really terrible, right? Or like you really can't handle yourself or control what you're doing. And I never understood all of the people getting diagnosed and taking medicine for these, whatever you want to call them, excuse me, like diseases or I don't even know. I just think it's some of it's just personality, and I don't understand that, because I was talking to a buddy of mine. I went on a hunting and fishing trip out in Washington State, near the Canadian border, north of Seattle, last October of 2018. And I was talking to my buddy, and we were talking about sleep, and I have a really hard time going to sleep. And I was like, I don't understand how you and my wife can just, when the lights go out, like just fall asleep like immediately. Like it doesn't matter, like what the situation is, almost to a T. It doesn't matter how hard I've worked. I mean, almost every night, I basically could be so tired that I just pass out, or try to pass out, right? I turn off the light and then lay there, and I mean, like, somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds, maybe like a minute if I'm lucky, all of a sudden, like, these other personalities in my brain that have been dormant for the entire day are just like, hey, how's it going? Good thing you're like calmed down now, and we can come out and say hey, and hey, while you were busy doing all this stuff today, what we were thinking about? We were thinking about, like if you could, do cartwheels, and I'm like, why is this like happening in the middle of the night, right? It's dark, I'm tired, and then all of a sudden, just random things just start firing away in my mind. And I never understood, people were like, we should go get checked out for like ADD. I mean, maybe I'm just crazy and I have like multiple personalities or something. I don't know. But I don't really think so. I just think, maybe it's like an undiagnosed ADD thing. So I was telling my buddy that, and he was busting out laughing, and he was like, dude, that totally doesn't happen to me. But that's what people who suffer from like the ADD, ADHD thing, they'll talk about, like their mind's constantly going. And I'm like, the problem with that is my mind turns on and it won't let me sleep for various amounts of time. But then when I finally do fall asleep, I'm so ADD that when I wake up 6 hours later, I have no idea like what I was thinking about, what was keeping me up, and I have like no idea what I'm gonna do like for the day, like with the day. Like all the plans are just out the window, and I like wake up like I have amnesia every day, like without fail. Like wonder what I was thinking about yesterday. No idea. I had 4 million thoughts go through my brain, and there was like no order to any of it. I mean, if you could like see the chart of my thoughts and the connectedness and the weird ways that like my brain just connects random things and they just blurt out of my mouth when I'm in conversation with people. It's a nightmare. And then I look at people like my wife, and like she'll tell me, hey, we need to do this. And I'll be like, okay, well, let me write that down. And then I'm like, you should write it down. And she'll be like, oh, whatever. And then like 3 days later, she'll be like, oh yeah, I need to do this. And she'll just like get it done. Or the next day, or some other time, in like 3 hours. Just like somehow she keeps a list in her head or something. Like I haven't really figured it out. I know it's been, 10 years. And I still can't figure how her brain works. How she can catalog like all that she does and all of her thoughts and all of her languages and just everything that's inside her head. And I'm like, I had to learn in high school, if I didn't write it down, if I didn't write down a homework assignment, a project, I would forget all about it. I'd show up at school and they'd be like, hey, did you bring your project? And I'm like, project? I'm like, what project? My teachers were like, I've only been talking about it, every day for the last 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's probably the problem because I wasn't paying attention to you. You talk all the time and I'm really kind of over you talking. So why would you think I pay attention to you? I'm just like, I'm your teacher and you're in 4th grade and you should pay attention to me. And I'm like, yeah, you're boring. Like you're boring and I already know like most of what you're talking about. So I don't know if you really, had similar experiences in school, but it wasn't until I got to a really hard academically strenuous high school that I like really had to organize my brain, or I couldn't organize my brain, but I had to organize things, like to-do lists and stuff. Because if I didn't write it down, it just like my brain was going to be somewhere completely different, and then papers, projects, whatever, and that's carried on to today. I mean, basically, I have all of these episodes written out, and I spend time planning of like, and I don't write out. These are just off the cuff, like I have stories and life experiences that I share and all that. But I mean, like I write out kind of the topics of what I'm going to talk about in these, and what days that I'm going to do them. I'm going to record them, and then what days I'm going to have them scheduled for YouTube, so that I know that I'm keeping track of making sure that I have one episode per day. I think I'm gonna pump out a second one on Christmas Day. I'm gonna do like I went to India 12 years ago, so this is dropping this. But I went to India 12 years ago, and I made a little montage video back then that I'll do a longer show on that. But I sent that off to Survivor, this video that I'll repost on this channel, and I got a call back from Survivor to be on their show. And I was told they would kill me if I ever talked about it, so I've never talked about it, but it's been like 12 years, 10 years, so I've never talked about it. But I'll do an episode on that. But anyway, I'm going to drop that. It's like 2 or 3 minutes long, 3.5 minutes long. And it's just jokes and stuff, interviewing people in India. It's really fun. Hope you like it. Don't get offended. If you do get offended, don't watch any more of my videos. Like, I'm just a silly guy. And anyway, so see, I mean, I just get off on these tangents. Oh, so Christmas, I'm gonna drop that video, and then I'm gonna do another Thrill of the Chase video. I have a vivid imagination, and I've talked about it in some of the Forrest Fenn videos about the clues, and then I'll go through like a massively imaginative solve. But yeah, so if I wasn't like completely organized behind the scenes, and I've had to learn that it's not natural for me to be organized. then I like wouldn't like I wouldn't be able to make it. I mean, so another story just popped in my brain, right? Is middle school. So I was in middle school, and I somewhere in grade school, middle school, I learned how to do the math of how grades were calculated or whatever. Like how many tests, what their weight percentage was going to be. How many quizzes, pop quizzes, whatever they gave us, book reports, what have you. And so I would ask the teachers, well, like I know how to do that math now. And so I'd be like, oh, like what, what's the, what's your weighting and all that kind of stuff. And I would completely forget about tests. And I would show up and bomb a test, just like bomb it, 37, 45, 54, 48, 42s, like 36s. I mean, just not be completely unprepared. Like, and they were like, what in the world? Like, you're a good student. Like, I basically made straight A's up until high school, maybe a couple B's. And so that's why I never got tested for ADD or ADHD, because they were like, the biggest tell or the biggest sign of ADD and ADHD or whatever was was not being able to concentrate enough in school, not being able to do well in school. So if your grades are struggling, you should probably get tested for ADD. And I was like, well, it's not really fair, because I don't know, like I just never really I felt like somewhere around 4th or 5th grade I was about on par intellectually with my teachers. Like, hopefully all of those teachers are so old that they're not on YouTube and never find this, but I was never like overly impressed with the intellectual prowess of any of my teachers until maybe 8th grade math or something, 7th, 8th grade math. But every other teacher, I was just kind of like, yeah, like I can totally like skate through. Like there's just not a real big problem. So anyway, I would get these like terrible grades, and then I'd go, oh shit, and I'd get a talking to from the teacher, like, we're disappointed in you. You need to prepare better. Like, we know you can do better. And I'm like, yeah, of course I could do better, but like I don't really give a shit. I was like, how's this going to be weighted, and do I have a chance to like get an A? So then that became the game for me, was how bad can I do on an exam and still pull my grade up to an A and have my parents not know that I totally fucked up at least one exam, if not more, or quiz. So then I would start doing all these calculations, and then I'd buckle down and I go, okay, like I gotta make 96s on the rest of the tests and quizzes or something like that. And I'd study, and I'd make like a 99, and I'd be pissed because I should have made 100, and I had studied and I knew everything, and I was like, cool, now I can get like 94s on everything, and then I'd make like a 97, or and then I'd be like, I can make like a 92 on the final and still get an A, or like I'd need a 94 average the rest of the way, and then I'd get like an 88, and I'd be like, fuck me, like there's no way I'm gonna be able to get an A unless I get like hundreds on everything, or and I'd like ask if I could do extra credit, and I'd be like, come on, like I just need like 1 point or something. So I was always into like manipulating the system, or just whatever, trying to make it work out. I was basically trying to do the least amount of work that I could possibly do, but still finagle an A. And anyway, it didn't always work out, but and I got caught, a number of times where it was like I'd kind of be like, oh yeah, my project's at home, and it wasn't at home. Like I just completely forgot, and then I lied, and then I learned, lying's not good. And my mom's like, I don't know where, where you learned to do that. And I was like, taught myself, But anyway, long story short, so I'm running this whole racket for like 3 years in middle school. I think it started in middle school, like up until like 5th grade or through 5th grade. Like I didn't have to study, I didn't have to do anything. Like, I mean, I would study, like my mom would go through and like read with me, or like spelling, stuff, and whatever. So there was some studying, but I didn't really have any problems. And it was like 6th grade, I think, was when I started like bombing, like forgetting, like you're more independent. in middle school and stuff. So I bombed these quizzes or these tests, and I couldn't show them to my mom. And so sometimes I had to forge her handwriting, or like my parents' signature. Which, by the way, my dad has the most perfect handwriting ever, and it's literally like it's cursive, but it's perfect. It's like the steadiest. It was impossible to recreate. So if my teachers they were always like, well, we need like a parent signature, and I would always forge my mom's if I had to forge one. But if they had been like, we need your dad's signature because they knew how good my dad's signature was, I would have been totally fucked. Like, there's absolutely no way to forge my dad's signature. Like, they would have known because dad's was perfect. It was at a slant. He's left-handed. I'm left-handed too, so I got that down. But it's like, to this day, like, it is unbelievable how amazing his signature is. And so glad I didn't have to forge his, and teachers didn't know about that. So I got away with one there. But anyway, so if I had to forge, if the teachers were like, I know your parents, and they'd be really disappointed in you, because I grew up in a small town, and so everybody knows everybody, and they were like, your parents would be so disappointed in you, and they need to see this, and you need to buckle down, and somehow I was going to be a success if I made like a 92 in your class instead of an 87 or whatever. Anyway, so anyway, either I had to get it signed or I forged it, because I wasn't going to have them know about these tests and quizzes that I bombed. So this is the most organized I ever was before high school. Is the point of this story. And I had a manila folder. And I hid it behind my desk in my room, and it had all of my bomb grades in it from like 6th grade to 8th grade. One day I came home, I was like in 8th grade, and I had like a 37 it was probably like a 56. It wasn't near the worst grade that I had gotten. So my mom went through my book bag, and she found this test or exam or quiz or something, and it was a fail grade. It was like in the 50s, maybe high 40s or something. And I don't know if I was outside playing or I don't remember the whole thing. I just remember her lighting me up. She was like, "Oh, like how could you not have told me I'm here? Like I could help you study, and why? What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, no." Like, do not read me the riot act. Are you kidding me? I was like, you just hold your horses. I have everything under control. She's like, you obviously don't have everything under control. You're 13. Like, look at how badly you did on this test. Like, I've never seen it. I was like, whoa, I have it all. And she, hold on. So I ran upstairs, reached behind my desk, grabbed the folder that's like bursting with all of these bad grades from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I run downstairs, I drop it open on the kitchen table, and I start going through. Oh, 56, that's nothing. Look, I got a 37 in Miss Lee's class, last year. I got a, 42 in Mr. Edwards' math class, earlier this year, and still got an A. And she's like, mind blown. She's like, what? She's like, where did you get all these? When did you, what? And I was like, what do you mean, when did I get? I've been hiding them from you. Like, you never knew, because I still got good grades. I still got 94 averages, 95 averages, 93 averages, maybe like a 92. We were on like a 7-point scale back then. So, maybe I couldn't pull it up to an A, but it was like a 92 and just for a grading period, but I could get it up, to an A for like the year. So she was like, how, you've been living a lie for 3 years? I'm like, I'm not living a lie. I got A's. Like, that's all you cared about was the end result. I really didn't want to be read the riot act, for just forgetting and not studying or not doing a project. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever. How great is this that I can totally take 2 to 3 or 4 weeks off a semester or a grading period and still come out with A's? Like, this is how you roll. And she was mortified. So then she's like, you can absolutely not do this, blah, 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 whatever. So anyway, that was just a story of like, yeah, I guess you could just call it deception, but really, it's about like you're just struggling with concentration has just been a part of my life, and it didn't mean that I was going to be unsuccessful, and that I couldn't achieve something. So I've never really gone to a doctor and said, hey, like I think I might have ADD or ADHD. I mean, obviously you can tell, like I have no problem talking for long periods of time. So I guess I'd be hyperactive disorder or ADHD. Like I always shake my legs, on the table, and I'm shaking the table, and everybody's like, stop. And I'm like, what? I mean, I don't know. So I guess there's varying degrees of difficulty. I think we all have struggles in life, right? And we just try to make it work and the best we can. Some people get drugs and pharmaceuticals and that helps them deal with life or stuff. I just kind of just figured like whatever. I'll just find my own game and try to play my own game within the system and make it work. So. I don't know what it's like to be normal. I don't think any of us are really normal. But if you have any comments or you want to tell me, share a video, make a video, and send it to me, post it, a link to it on the channel in the comments, or something I can put it in the description. But I'd love to know what it's like to be more normal or able to concentrate more fully for longer periods of time. Because I don't really know what that's like. And also, I'd love to know what it's like to remember without writing stuff down. Like, you're so focused on something the night before. Like, I can have the best business ideas and the best, whatever ideas at night, and then wake up at, 6 or 7 in the morning, the following morning, and have just no recollection whatsoever. And just, like, wake up and be like, oh, I hate that the sun's up, Yeah, and I just say, like, it fascinates me that people can just talk about something, wake up the next day after a night of sleep, and be like energized to go work on that. Because that is just not in my wheelhouse. So let me know about your lives. Do you have suffer from ADD, ADHD? Do you have similar experiences? If you are diagnosed with ADHD or ADD. Are your experiences similar to mine? Would you say that I have it? Like, I don't need doctors writing in. I mean, if you're a doctor, that's great. I don't really need a professional opinion at this point. I'm almost 40 and I'm fine. But, it'd just be interesting to compare notes in a more informal way of like, what's your life like with ADD or ADHD if you're willing to share. And then if you don't have it and you're like, no, I can totally concentrate, or, this is how my brain works. Like, it's just fascinating to hear different people's stories and how how school and life went for you, because that's just one of the stories from my life. So that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow, same time.